Hello, grade nines. This is a very difficult topic called dividing rationals. So hopefully you watch the multiplying rationals. This one's a little trickier, but I think you guys can handle it. Three things to remember. When you're dividing, it'll make sense in just a second. First number goes in the house. Second number stays outside the house. And finally, move the decimals to the far right position until both numbers are whole numbers. So first example. I like to actually do this last point first. Move the decimals to the far right position until both numbers are whole numbers. So watch what I mean. So I want to take this number, I want to move that decimal to the far right, to there. If I do that to one number, I also have to do it to the other, because what I'll do is I'll change the whole value of the number if I don't. So I have to move this one also 1. So now both numbers have the decimal in the far right position. This has now become 66, and this has become 12. So now I'm dividing 66 and 12. Okay, now with dividing, the rules are the same as multiplying. If you have a positive and a positive, it equals a positive. If you have a negative and a negative, it equals a positive. If you have one of each, a positive and a negative, doesn't matter which order, it's always negative. Okay, so if the signs are the same, it's positive. If the signs are different, it's negative. In this case, we notice that the answer will be positive. So we can just ignore the positive signs and we just do the first 2 points. First number goes in the house. So this is the house. It's the division sign. 66 goes in, 12 goes out. Now we do what division means. How many times does 12 go into 66? And I want students to show your work. So if you take a guess, and a good guess would obviously be 5 12s. So 12 times 5, you'll write it on the side and you'll calculate it. That's 5 times 2 is 10, carry a 1, that's 6. 60. So it goes in 5 times. We write that right above the 6. We write 60 below the 66, and we figure out the remainder. So it looks like I have a 6 remainder. Now what I do is I put a decimal here and also in the answer. And when I put the decimal after the 66, I add about 3 zeros. Because what I want to do now is once I got a remainder of 6, I want to carry down a 0. So now I have 60. Now the new number is 60. 12 into 60, hey, it goes 5 times, exactly. It works out to be exactly 60. So that means when I subtract, I have no remainder, and that's where I stop. So the answer is, we put the positive, since it's positive, above the house with the number. The answer is positive 5.5. This decimal terminates. It doesn't. It just stops right there, and that's very nice if it does. Some of them don't. Let's see if this one does. So I know the answer is going to be, if they're different, it's going to be negative. Okay, I'm going to move the decimals so I have them to the far right. So I'm going to move this one 2 places. If I move that one 2, I move this one 2. 1 and 2 around empty space means I add a 0. So in other words, I have 1825 and 430. So now the first number goes in the house. So 1825. Second number outside the house. Now I ask, how many times does 430 go into this? I'm going to take a guess and say 4. So 430 times 4, that's 0. 4 times 3 is 12. 1, that's 1720. That looks good. I don't think if I did 5, I'd probably be over. And you can test it, but I know. So that 4 goes right here. This 1720 goes underneath to figure out the remainder. Now I subtract. 5 take away 0. 2 take away 2, 8 take away 7, and I don't have to put down 0. 105 remainder. Now remember what I do is I put a decimal here and here. I add some zeros to the original number in the house, and I bring down a 0. Now it's 430 into this. Now you're going to take a guess, right? Obviously 4 is too much, but maybe a number like 3 would be too much, maybe 2. So we go 430 times 2, so that's 0, 6, 8, 860. So 2 times, the 2 goes there, the 860 goes here, and I subtract to get a remainder. 0, 5 take away 6, can't do it, got to borrow from the 0, can't do it, got to borrow from the 1, becomes a 0. This 0 added here, the 1, becomes a 10. Cross that out, making it a 9. Now I can add the 1 here, making it 15. So 15 take away 6 is 9. 9 take away 8 is 1, and I don't have to worry about that 0. 190, bring down a 0. 430 into 1900, well, looks like I've already figured out 4 because 5 would be too much, so it would be 4 here. So that's 1720 goes down here. We figure out the remainder, 0. 0 take away 2, can't do it. Borrow, that becomes an 8, that's a 10. 10 take away 2 is 8. 8 take away 7 is 1. 180. So now I bring down another 0. And I want to stop after the third number. That's what I usually say. So 430 into 1800, looks like 4 will do it again. So I can just stop right there. I know it's 4 times. I know it's going to give me a little remainder here. Looks like the remainder is going to be 80, but I have enough here is what I need. So the answer 4.24 or 4.244, and it's negative. So I put that along with the number on the house, and there you go. Okay, a little tricky, but not too bad. Let's go to this one right here. Last and final example. So I want to move decimals, right? So obviously I got to move this one once, move this one once. Whatever I do to one, I do the other. I know the answer, negative and negative. I know the answer is going to be positive, so I can ignore that. This is going to be 26 now, and this is going to be 128. First number goes in the house, so 26 goes inside, and the other number, 128, goes outside. Now right away you notice something kind of, if you do the division talk, how many times does 128 go into 26? It doesn't. Not once, twice, 3 times. It goes in 0. That's the number that I place up here. And so in other words, I put a decimal right and I add a couple of zeros, 2, 3. So I put a decimal up here. So the answer is going to be 0 decimal something, right? So 128 goes into 26 0 times. In other words, I have a remainder of 26. I can just rewrite that 26. And I'm going to bring down a 0. This first 0 to that remainder 26. So now it's 128 into 260. Believe that goes twice. I'm going to check it. 128 times 2. 2 times 8, 16. 1. 2 times 2 is 4. Add 1, 5. 2 times 1 is 2. 256 twice. It's 0.2 something. This number goes here, 256. 0 take away 6, can't do it. Got to borrow from the 6, make it a 5. So it's 10 take away 6, that's 4. And these are both zeros. I don't have to worry about that. Going to bring down another 0. 128 into 40. After I brought that 0, now you ask, does it go into 40? No, it does not. So I still have a remainder of 40. I can bring down another 0 now because I have to keep going. 1 0 doesn't work, but now I bring down the second 0 all at the same time. 128 into 400. Maybe I can get it a third time. Let's try 128 times 3. 3 times 8 is 24. 2. 3 times 2 is 6. 8. 384. So 3 times looks good, and I'm done right there. I know I have a remainder, but I've got enough here. So 0.203 is a good enough answer. The answer is positive, and there we go. All right, so that's a kind of a confusing one. Hopefully that helps you, and continued success in all your rational operations.